Welcome, welcome, welcome. In this video, we are going to be talking about harmonic patterns. I put out a few of these patterns in the past. Most of them have done very, very well. These patterns, they're not super easy to find. They are pretty advanced, but if you can learn them and if you can spot them correctly and trade them correctly, you stand to gain a pretty good amount. Before we even really go into harmonic patterns, you really need to understand Fibonacci because the pivots in the harmonics are based off of Fibonacci. So if you don't know what Fibonacci is, check out course video number 6 on my channel in the free course if you go to playlist. The link for that will be in the description, but I'm just going to do a really quick crash course on Fibonacci. Really, it's just a sequence of numbers in which are potential support and resistance areas. So even before you understand Fibonacci, you have to know what swing highs and swing lows are. A swing high pretty much just means the place that the price comes up to before reversing again, and a swing low means the place that the price goes down to before going back up again. Okay, so these red circles are your swing highs, these orange circles are your swing lows. Now if we pull out the Fibonacci retracement tool, if you want to use Fibonacci for selling, you're going to be going, so imagine, before I even say that, imagine that the price is right over here. Okay, so let me use the brush. Imagine the price is right there on this candle. I'm going to mark it with the green circle. Imagine this is the current price. You see that the price is starting to go up after this bullish hammer candle, and you entered right there and you want to look for selling targets with Fibonacci. You go from your previous swing high, and then you start off your Fibonacci anchoring right there, then you come down to your swing low. Okay, and then you just extend it. Now what confirms this swing low? When the price starts going back up and you achieve a 23.6% retrace from your last high to the low, that's what confirms your swing low. So now we have selling targets with Fibonacci. You could see it pretty much came up to this 1272 Fibonacci line, and that's really where it topped out and made a new swing high. Okay, so let's move a little bit into the future. Imagine after you getting in right here, you had a nice trade, price went all the way up here, you sold over there because there was a little bit of a resistance. And now imagine that the price has come down to like right over here, okay, where this green circle is. And you want to use Fibonacci for buying now. So the price is here, but you're not in a new trade yet. What you want to do is you want to go from your previous swing low, right down here, up to your swing high, and then extend it. And as you can see, the price came all the way down to that 0.786 Fibonacci line perfectly, and that's where it bounced. Now, of course, you also had a support there, which was your previous resistance on a few candles, and I believe you also had some hidden bullish divergence, right? You made a lower low of negative momentum on your MACD, but you made a higher low on price. You even had a bullish pin bar candle, right? So just in terms of Fibonacci, you want to be using it alongside other variables. But regardless of all that, we're talking about harmonics. You need to understand the Fibonacci in order to really use those harmonics. So if that little crash course on Fibonacci was too quick or whatever, go check out the full video on Fibonacci on my channel. Link will be in the description. But after you understand Fibonacci is when you can really use harmonic patterns. Okay, so when you're looking for harmonic patterns, just to give you like a quick preview of what one looks like, this is like my most famous one. A few months ago, the Fisker butterfly. They kind of look like this pattern right here. And as you see, when it got to that pattern completion zone, or the PCZ, this thing went on a crazy run, right? So how do you really spot these? Let's come over to this chart and let's see. All right, so when you're looking for harmonic patterns, really all you're kind of looking for is like these weird shaped M's or W's, right? If you get like a weird shaped M, that could be a bullish harmonic pattern. If you get a weird shaped W, that could be a bearish harmonic pattern. So you can trade these bullish patterns by entering at the final PCZ or pattern completion zone, and you can target 3 different areas. You can target this middle kind of like in between the M. You can target this first high up here, and then you can also target this high up here, right? So really these like pivot points on the harmonic could be your targets if you're entering at the PCZ, all right? So that's really how you can target those. And then the opposite for the bearish harmonics, right? If you see a harmonic and you're trying to short it, you enter right over here, and you're trying to see that if the price can come all the way back down, right? So we're going to target on the bearish harmonics, this first point, this second pivot point, and this third pivot point, right? So your entry was at that PCZ, the final part of the pattern, and then you're trying to price and come all the way back down to this part of the pattern, okay? So that's your bullish and bearish harmonics. That's kind of how you trade them. in terms of what the actual Fibonacci levels will look like here, we can go over a few of harmonic patterns, all right? So let me scale this out a little bit. I just kind of wrote, drew them all up. These numbers are not going to be super exact. I just did it kind of quickly. So all you can do is just go on Google and look up a harmonic cheat sheet. You can find one with all of the actual pivot points using Fibonacci. Even if you join the Discord and you go to the education tab, there's a cheat sheet there as well. So yeah, we're just going to start off with the bullish harmonic patterns, and then we'll go to the bearish ones. So the 5 bullish harmonic patterns, there's a few more. These are just the ones I put here. The bullish bat, the bullish butterfly, the bullish cipher, the bullish Gartley, and the bullish crab. So just how to identify them and how to spot which one exactly it is, you're pretty much going to have a bullish bat if, let's say, the price moves all the way up to here. Then when it comes back down, you make in between a 0.382 to a 0.5 retrace, okay? So if you use that Fibonacci again, from the low up to the high, your price would have to be in between this zone, this 382 and the 0.5, okay? So that's where you need that second point to be the B point, all right? That's like the first part of the pattern. Let me just delete this all. Then you have another move up in price. So imagine you're at this point where the price ran up to here, it came back down here, which was in between a 0.382 and a 0.5 retrace. Then you get another high, but it's a lower high than this first high, okay? And that can only be up to an 886. So if we go from this high down to this low, you cannot come back above this yellow line, otherwise that will invalidate it, all right? So after that 886, that's when the final part of this movement occurs, and you run down in price, and that PCZ, or pattern completion zone, the place where you're entering the pattern, typically will be around your 88.6% retrace. There could be 2 potential PCZs, or even technically 3. This one is really from this X point to the D point. You want to be entering when this is around an 886, but a lot of patterns have multiple PCZs, which is why I'm telling you to look at a cheat sheet. You can also play a bullish bat that is at the 1.6. Well, this would be really, really weird. Not like that. Let's see. Let's do like this, right? Kind of the first way I had it, right? You're looking for a 2618 from B to D, or you're also looking for an 886 from X to D. All right. So again, just use a cheat sheet because you're probably not going to remember that, but I just want you to understand what it means. Okay. So that's really what a bullish bat is like, kind of like this weird shaped M, and then all of your Fibonacci anchor points have to line up with whatever your cheat sheet will tell you. Just look for these time and time again, then refer to your cheat sheet, and you're just going to start memorizing the pivot points you're looking for. All right, so let me just delete these. So hopefully you get the idea of how the harmonic works, and then what just differentiates the different harmonics is those exact numbers between those pivot points, right? So really, a lot of the times, this X point to the B point will be a pretty strict number. That'll kind of be the main thing that separates harmonics. And then this A to C point is a little bit more flexible. It kind of is usually within a range, like between a 382 to an 886. There's different variations, of course. And then the PCZ also, there's multiple PCZs for pretty much all the harmonic patterns, right? You could have an 886, you could have a 2618 from B to D. So let's go look at the other ones. I just want to spend more time on this one so you could kind of understand it. So then we have the bullish butterfly, like the Fisker trade I put out, right? From here, from X to B, you have a 786 retrace. From this A point to this C point, you want to have between a 382 and an 886. So it could be all the way down here up to pretty much here, okay? And then for your PCZ, well, again, there's a few potential PCZs. You could have a PCZ right over here when you're at the 1272 from X to Z or X to D. You could have a PCZ at the 1618, which is all the way up here. You could have a PCZ at the 2618. So again, there's different PCZs, and at the end of the video, I'm kind of going to go over which one you should be picking and why. And it always will change, right? So that's really the idea of, harmonic patterns, multi-pivot points with certain numbers giving you what exact harmonic it is. So you need to have at least some of the variables being correct, like pinpoint correct pretty much, for it to be an actual pattern. You can't just find, one of these weird shaped M's and say, hey, this is a harmonic. No. The price actually needs to move in a point where the Fibonacci lines are making sense for it to be a pattern, okay? So that was your butterfly. What really differentiates the butterfly is you need to have a 0.786 from X to B. And then you enter the trade when this X to D is about a 1272 to a 1618. So anywhere from like here down to like there. or when you're at a 1618 from B to D, or like how it shows, a 2618 from B to D. Next pattern, the cipher. Now for the cipher tool, you cannot use the same XABCD tool that you use for all the other ones. For the cipher tool, you need to be using the cipher pattern tool on TradingView, okay? What makes the cipher different is, as you can see from, from this first high up here to the second high, on pretty much all the other harmonics, you'll have a lower high from A to C, right? Lower high from here to here, lower high from here to here. But on the cipher, you have a higher high from here to here, okay? So with your cipher, you want, basically you go from X up to A, then you come back down in price, and you want that to be between a 382 retrace to a 618. So anywhere between right over here down to right over here, okay? And then you go back up in price, and you want that to be between a 1.13, so actually a little bit higher, up to like a 1.4. So like all the way up there is where it can be up to. Again, so they're a little bit flexible. And then in terms of where you enter the cipher is when the price comes back down, and from your X point to your D point, you have about a 786 retrace, or a 1272, or a 1618. So again, there's multiple different PCZs. Now we look at the Gartley. The really strict point, let me fix this. The really strict point on the Gartley is, from you start up over here, or your price starts here, then your price goes up to the A point, then it comes back down. When it comes back down, it needs to bounce off the 618, okay? So if we use the Fibonacci again from this low up to the high and we extend it, you can see when that price is coming back down, it needs to bounce off of the 618 for the Gartley. All right, that's a very strict point. Then you go back up, and for the C point, you want in between a 382, which could be anywhere down here, up until an 886, which can be all the way up here. So anywhere within this range, kind of. And then for your target, you're looking for a 786 retrace from X to D, right? So if we come up from here to here and extend it, you can see from this first point down to the second point, it comes down to the 0.786. But again, there can be multiple PCZs. You can trade the 1618 as well, which is just a little bit lower. Then we have the final one I'm showing, which is the bullish crab. This one's a little bit different because that final PCZ is like way, way lower than this X point, right? So for the bullish crab, just like the Gartley, you need to have a 0.618 from X to B right over there. Then for the C point on the Gartley, you need between a 382 and an 886. I mean, on the crab, you need between a 382 and an 886, just like the Gartley. So far, it's very similar to the Gartley. However, the final PCZ point is super, super low. It could be a 1618 from X to D. It could be a 2618 from B to D, or it could be a 3618, which is all the way down here. That's pretty much called a deep crab. So, typically if you get something like this, that means the price got destroyed. Cough, cough, Clover, cough, cough, UWMC. Those are just two tickers that had it that we've recently traded, and they both actually worked out really, really well, at least for now for Clover. But the UWMC trade did hit the target. So those are all of your bullish patterns. And the bearish ones, I'm not going to spend as much time on the bearish ones because it's the same exact thing. It's just the inverse on all of them, right? So instead of like these M-shaped movements on the price, like this, like this, like this, like that, you're getting the W-shaped movements, right? So the price is running up to a certain point. Let me make this red. Okay, price is running up to a certain point. Then it hits this high, then it falls down. Then it goes up only to make a lower high than this high. Then it falls down again, okay, to make around the same low or anywhere within the ranges that it should be. And then it runs up again to hit the PCZ. And when it's at that PCZ, that's when one could be like shorting that stock because it's bearish, right? It can come all the way back down here. So that's really the idea of the bearish harmonics. And again, it just comes down to the actual Fibonacci sequences. So I just deleted that by accident. I'm not even going to fix this. Not going to waste time there. And then again, just like the bats, the butterflies, the ciphers, Gartley, the crab, they all have different exact Fibonacci levels. And again, I'm not going to spend time like going through all the exact Fibonacci levels and all the bearish ones. It's pretty much just the inverse of the bullish ones. And again, just find a cheat sheet on Google. Just literally look up Harmonic cheat sheet. I guess I'll just include one in the description and use that to see the exact anchor points. But by now, you should understand what type of movements or pivots you need the price to make for a harmonic pattern, whether bullish or bearish. Now, if you remember, I was saying I was going to kind of tell you, how do you know which PCZ to pick, right? if there's multiple different pattern completion zones for these harmonics, how do you know if you should be picking the, let me find a better example. How do you know if you should be picking, if we go to the crab right here, right? Why not pick the 1618 when the price gets there, all the way up here? Why not pick the 2618 all the way down here? Why not pick the 1618 from X to D? So there's 3 different ones, right? Really, where you want that PCZ to be is next to an actual support on the chart. You want there to be multiple variables, right? So imagine, this is the analogy I use, imagine you're a lawyer. If you only have one piece of evidence, it's possible for you to win the case, but there's not a super high probability. If you can bring multiple pieces of evidence to the table, it doesn't mean for sure you're going to win the case, or, in the analogy, make money on the trade. It just means you have a much better chance. So at that PCZ, after you get this movement on the price, okay, and you're at the PCZ, not only do you want to be at that PCZ, you want there to be an actual support on the price. You want there to be a bullish candle, like a bullish hammer candle. You want there to be bullish divergence on the MACD or the RSI. You're looking for multiple other variables just aside from that PCZ, and that just helps it strengthen your argument. So now with all of that being shown, let's go look at some examples so you can see. So I already showed, I believe in the beginning of the video, the Fisker one, right? So you can see this was a butterfly, because from X to B you had a 786. From this A point to the C point, it was in between a 382 and an 886. And then it came all the way down to this 2618, pretty much. It wasn't perfect, but it was around that zone, the pattern completion zone. And you reversed there. And I believe if we come back over here, you were having the MACD going back towards green on the daily. And on the 4-hour, if I remember correctly, yep, there was some classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour as well. So you're looking for not just the PCZ, but you're looking for other variables to be lining up there. And then, boom, crazy, crazy move on the price. So that's example number 1. Another example, this is a very, very recent trade. Pretty similar, like the butterfly we just looked at. This one's not perfect because remember I said you need a 786 from X to B. This is a little bit deeper. You wanted it to be a little bit higher like there, but it's, I wouldn't say to really not be strict with it. You should be strict with it, but this chart, I just kind of let it slide because you were showing very, very clear classic bullish divergence on the daily at the PCZ. You were at a support, right? This $25 level was your resistance right over here. And on the 4-hour, you had classic bullish divergence. So why did it reverse at this PCZ? Because you had classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour, you were at a support, and you had classic bullish divergence on the daily. And this is currently an ongoing trade that's already up 35% in about like 2 weeks. Then the UWMC trade, this is another trade I put out. The target was the B point. Remember we went over how to target them in the beginning of the video. So the target was like right over here, all right? So I posted an entry on this when the price was down here, pretty much right around, I don't remember exactly, but around like the mid $7 range, I think. And my target was around 1160. And boom, it hit the target within literally days. Well, there was a catalyst on this one, but you get the point. You're in because of the technicals, and then, oh wow, news comes out a few days later. But there you go, it literally played out within days, a 60% gain, which is crazy. Hit that B target, and then it dumped. So that's another example. And then the final example out of all things, Dogecoin. This is another trade I put out. We come all the way back over here. Look at this. This is the bullish Gartley. I put out a trade on Dogecoin. The entry was like 2.3 cents. I think the target was like 5.5 cents. So it was like a 100% trade or something. Pretty much you would have doubled your money. And this trade took like a few days to play out. It took actually it took 1 day to play out. So that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, if you guys remember, Doge was all the way like under 1 cent, then it ran up all the way to like 8 cents, and then it dropped all the way back down to 2 cents right over here. And then I put out a trade on it when it dropped back down to 2 cents. And then within a day, the trade gave you pretty much double your money. And this was a Gartley, right? Because from X to B, you had around a 618, and then from X to D, you had a 786. This was within the range A to C, and boom, this is what can happen, right? So these are harmonics. Hopefully this video gives you a better understanding. If you still are confused on Fibonacci, I will put the link to my Fibonacci video in the description. And just so you can memorize all the exact numbers that you need to know for the harmonics, I'll also put a cheat sheet in the description. So if you enjoyed the video, if you thought it was educational, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you later. Have a good one. Thank you.